Fully understood. The method that we're going to use to record, or to measure and record dip and dip direction. Okay, so I'm just going to go through that using this mock bedding plane that I've got here. So hopefully you can see that this is a bedding plane that's dipping towards you. Okay, steeply dipping in this case towards you. So what we want to do is measure how much it's dipping down from the horizontal and in what direction. Okay, so the first thing that you'll have to do is you have to get your compass clinometer. This one is mine. There are many like it. This one is mine. And it's a good idea to have it always around your neck so it's easy to get at in the field. But sometimes when you're making the measurements, you might have to kind of take it off. Be careful that you put it back on afterwards, because otherwise you'll lose it. So the first thing to do is to make sure that it's set east-west. Okay, so you line up the west symbol on the dial with the sighting marks either side of the dial. And that's so that if you look in the inside of the dial, there's that black scale, okay, that goes from 0 at the bottom to 90 on either side. And that's what we use to measure the angle of dangle. Okay? The first thing to do is we want to find that direction of maximum dip. Okay, which direction is this kind of sloping? Okay? So you could do this by just putting the clinometer on edge and trying to find, moving it around until we find kind of the maximum angle of dip. But there's another slightly more robust way of doing that. I'm going to need a notebook. Can I borrow your notebook? And we're going to make use of the notebook's 90-degree corners. So I'll just pop that down there. Remind me to give this back to you. So if you set your clinometer up east-west and then just adjust the angle of it so that the needle in the middle, the clinometer part, is pointing directly down, okay? At 0 on the scale, the bottom. So that means that the bottom surface now is perfectly horizontal, okay? So if we hold that up against our rock, okay, you could mark on the rock with a pencil if you want to, or you could just kind of hold it there. So that line now is a horizontal line on the rock. So this is what we call the strike. Okay, it's a line on the rock of no dip. Okay, and this is useful because if the ground was perfectly horizontal, which it isn't in the Lake District, we could follow the line of the strike either that way or that way, and we'd always find this surface. Okay, if we've got dipping, or so if we've got undulating topography, we might have to modify the direction which we go slightly, and we'll use structural contours to figure that out in the evening exercise. Okay. So the strike line is important because it allows us to create these kind of structural contours for working stuff out. Okay. So if this is the line of no dip, the maximum dip on this surface will be 90 degrees to that. And you could use the compass to work out 90 degrees, or you could just use a thing that's got a right angle on it. Okay, so I could just hold my notebook against the surface like that. Here we go, against the surface like that. And then I can use my compass still in its clinometer mode, so east-west. And if you put make sure that the scale is at the bottom side of the compass, okay? And it does help if you put the mirror, the hinge part, at the top. And we'll see why in a bit. Okay, so you place your book next to your strike line, okay, and then that is now on the dip. So I could and I've just purposely given that. So I could draw a little line on there, like that. So that is the dip direction. I could read off the angle, and I get, in this case, I get about 75 degrees. Now I want to know what that direction is. Okay, what direction is the dip pointing? And the easy way of doing that is to then just, once your compass is on the rock like this, is just to fold it down flat so that now the hinge of your compass is along the strike line. Okay, you then lift up the compass so it's horizontal, and you can tell it's horizontal if the magnetic needle can spin freely. And then you just turn the dial around until the red arrow on your compass dial matches up with the magnetic needle, and then you read off the direction which the dip is pointing. So the compass has got basically two places to read off. Okay, so we can always be 180 degrees wrong. Okay, so bear in mind that. So because this surface is dipping that way, I'm going to read off that end of the compass. Okay, if the beds were completely overturned and I was trying to measure on the underside of a bed, okay, and the rocks were dipping back behind me, I'd read off the mirror end of the compass. Okay, so I could read that off and I get 260 degrees. So I'd write down, what was it, 70, 75, is that a 5?
No.
It's close to a 5, isn't it? Let's do it the other way. 5, yeah, slash, oh, I'm not going to get this right, 260. Okay, 75, 260. Okay. And also now it's, because it's really easy to be 180 degrees out. Okay, I'm just going to get my compass and do a quick check, and I can see that the needle is pointing that way for north, so this is dipping towards the west. Okay, so I could add in over here I'm pretty sure I can do a W upside down. There we go, a W. Just as an extra check, okay, that you've got it in the right direction. Okay. So the other thing that you're going to be doing with your compasses today is sighting things, okay, and working out the direction from one place to another. Okay, so usually from where you are to where a thing is, okay, and that will be useful for marking on the orientations of exposures, and is sometimes also useful for finding out where you are. Okay, so the way to do that is to get your compass and actually fold the mirror over to about 45 degrees, so that when you then look through the notch at the top of the mirror, you can actually see the reflection of the dial in the mirror. And you'll notice that your mirror should have a black line down the middle. Okay, so you want to line up the notch in the top of your compass mirror, the line down the mirror, and the center of your compass dial. You want to line that up with the thing that you're trying to find the direction of. Okay, so that would be if I wanted to find the direction from me to that tree over there. Okay, which is not, yes. I would line up the top of the compass, the mirror, the center of the compass, and then again I would just turn the dial while I've got all those things lined up, so that the red needle matches up with the red arrow on the compass dial. Okay, and then the direction from me to the tree is the end of the compass which is closest to the tree, and in this case that would be 235 degrees. And the bearing from the tree back to me is at my end of the compass. In this case it would be 055 degrees. Okay, so those things we'll be going through with your demonstrators in your groups today as you're making observations and measurements. Okay, just to give you a kind of hopefully a little bit of a refresher of the stuff that we've been going through with you for the first part of the week. Okay, great. So we're going to split up into groups now.